Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Flash Season 7 review series, and today I am going to be talking about episode 12, Goodbye Vibrations, which I've just finished watching, and this episode was very emotional, and I'll get into why, because this episode marked the final appearance of Carlos Valdez, better known as Cisco Ramon, as he left the show now. He has officially left The Flash after 7 seasons, and to be honest, really, I'm quite sad because through all the highs and lows of this show, ever since the show started back in 2014, Cisco Ramon, in my opinion, has been quite possibly the rock of this show. You know, he's been such a big part of the success of the show, and he's one of the main reasons why I love the show so much. You know, his constant puns, every week he names the villains, his references to pop culture. You know, he's like the ultimate fanboy slash nerd, and I think we can all relate to someone like Cisco Ramon because, you know, when you look at him, you see a lot of yourself because you know, you're a big nerd, he's a big nerd, and, you know, in a way, Cisco was kind of like the guy that you'd like to have as a best friend. You know, you go to Comic-Cons, go to all these science expos and things like that, and, you know, he's just an awesome character, and he would later on become a hero in his own right. He became Vibe. Obviously, Vibe in the comics is very, very different, but, you know, Carlos Valdez, to his credit, made it work, and it's been a hell of a ride watching this character start out as a bit of a nerd at the beginning of season 1 and then to come all this way now to season 7. You know, he's now a full-fledged hero, and, you know, I am seriously going to miss him, and I know the show are trying to push Chester in that role. Nothing wrong with him, he's a fun character, but he's not Cisco, not even close. Cisco Ramon's very indispensable, you know, irreplaceable. You know, you don't find guys like, you know, Cisco Ramon in the groceries. And, you know, Carlos Valdez was such a big part of the show, and he's been in the show through it all. You know, he's been there, and some of the best scenes of the show involved him. I would say the best scene that involved Cisco Ramon was when he learned that Harrison Wells was really Eobard Thawne, and Eobard Thawne just flat out murdered him with his vibrating hand. And him and Tom Cavanagh, who, another great actor who I've said many times in the past, he's quite possibly the most versatile actor of the entire Arrowverse. He's gone now, and to me, those two made The Flash. All due respect to Grant Gustin, Candice Patton, Jesse L. Martin, you know, all those guys, they're great. But to me, Carlos Valdez and Tom Cavanagh made The Flash. The Flash would still be successful, probably, but without those two, I don't think it would have been as great. And, you know, I am going to miss Carlos Valdez a lot. And, you know, he went out his own way. I'm hoping we do see him again before The Flash does wrap up for good, because, you know, you've got to know that at some point down the line they are going to start thinking about maybe bringing the show to a close, because nothing lasts forever, as we've seen with Arrow, as we've seen with Black Lightning, and as we are going to see with Supergirl. You know, Flash is going to wrap up at some point. It's just a matter of when and how. So this episode pretty much focused a lot on Cisco's departure. We got to see him work a final mission with Team Flash, and to me, when I think of Team Flash, it's always going to be Harrison Wells, Cisco Ramon, Caitlin Snow, and Barry Allen. No offense to Iris, but they are Team Flash. You know, they're the guys that made the show. That's just me. That's just my opinion. So, with that all said, let's get right into it. Let's talk about episode 12, Goodbye Vibrations. So we see Team Flash without Chester and Allegra gather at Star Labs, and Cisco and Camilla announce that they are leaving Central City. Camilla announces that she has a gallery show in Miami, and Cisco is going to Star City to be the Argus Director of Technology and Science. Now, here's an interesting thought. How cool would it be if Cisco Ramon worked with John Diggle and Lila Michaels? That would be incredible, because I don't think Cisco and Diggle have had many scenes together. I know they've been in the same room, but I don't think, as far as I know, have had many scenes together. I'd love to see that. Maybe like if Carlos Valdez comes back for a one-off episode, I'd love to see him and John Diggle work together. I think that would be really, really cool. So Caitlin and Barry don't react quite the way Cisco was expecting and seems almost happy. Cisco takes Chester to storage and shows him the various gadgets there, and greatest hits of Cisco's inventions over the years, as well as a crate of t-shirts. Cisco gives everything, minus the t-shirts, to Chester. Cisco goes to pack his things and is surprised to see it's already been done for him by Barry. Caitlin shows up, gives him a message from Frost, and asks Cisco for his employee badge and access codes. At a bank in Central City, a woman uses her metahumans to get a private wealth banker to write her a cashier's check for $10 million and cashed as cash. Technically, it's not fair. The banker was so happy and just gave it to her, so Team Flash has to figure out what exactly her power is. We learn that she makes people euphoric, and Cisco decides he wants to solve one last case with the original Team Flash before he leaves. Cisco makes the connection to Roy G. Birolo, Justice Rainbow Reindeer 2.0, which makes people happy instead of angry. They find the messer leaving a jeweler's where she uses one of his devices on her, but it malfunctions and she uses her powers. As the Flash saves a valet, Cisco gets hit and becomes very happy and affectionate to the point of annoying. Cisco is giddy and singing and will be like until tomorrow, so they decide to have Chester babysit him. Cisco gets the idea that the team is throwing him a surprise going-away party. Caitlin and Barry track this new Rainbow Redder to Ferris Airfield. Her real name is Kerry, but Cisco messes with the Flash's suit display and makes it a show of them dancing cats, causing him to run into a van, which in turn allows Kerry to hit him with her powers and let her get away. He arrives back at Star Labs just as giddy as Cisco, and they start dancing together, with Barry even breakdancing. Chester arrives and hits him with some lights, reversing the happiness effect. With the pair back to normal, Cisco reveals that Kerry stole a fancy blimp that is untraceable. Barry asks him to get something from Argus to help, prompting Cisco to snap. All day, Cisco has felt like Barry and Caitlin have been eager to get rid of him. He thinks they don't care. Caitlin and Barry explain that they've been putting on brave faces so they could have one last mission together, and that their last day won't end on a sad note. Cisco reveals to him that the fear Psyche made him see was him still there 30 years in the future of the next generation of heroes, but with him never having changed or grown himself. While they reminisce and have a moment, Barry figures out Kerry's plan. Turns out Kerry stole the cash and diamonds to give away. She'd previously been fired from jobs at collection agencies for cancelling debt. Her plan is to drop the wealth she's stolen over the stadium as a sporting event gets out. They have to stop her, so Allegra gets Mecha Vibe and the Flash onto the blip, and they subdue Kerry. The Flash tells her that he's not sending her to Iron Heights and instead is going to suggest she work for the city's Economic Commission. But they have bigger issues. The system on the blimp has been fired. If it crashes, it will explode. The Flash gets Allegra and Kerry off the blimp, but Cisco stays behind. He uses part of his suit to try and get the system back online, and does so. Very narrowly manages to prevent the blimp from crashing. Back at Star Labs, Chester stalls Cisco as there is a surprise party in progress for Team Flash, as well as one for Camilla at Team Citizen. Cisco passes the torch to Chester, giving him all of the designs and important information. Cisco takes a final moment while a montage of all of Cisco's moments plays. Yeah, this moment where you see the big long montage of all of his moments really got me emotional, because, you know, especially with him naming all the villains, I'm really going to miss that a lot. One thing I wish was in this episode. I wish Tom Cavanagh was in this episode as Harrison Wells, because it just seemed a bit empty to have Cisco leaving and no Harrison Wells. I felt that was the only thing that would have put this over the top in a big way, but who knows? We might see them interact with each other one last time before the show ends. Later, Joe, Caitlin, Barry, and Cisco have dinner together. Cisco gives them each one of his t-shirts, and they decide to do some karaoke together one last time. We see all of them sing Lady Gaga, Poker Face, a throwback to the first episode. And then we see Iris also has a hard time with Camilla leaving and was snappy with her, but eventually comes around and tells her how she feels. Also, Allegra notices Cecile at the crime scene, though Cecile plays it off as just speaking with a contact. And then at the very end of the episode, we see Cecile is haunted by something as she looks into the mirror and sees herself covered in an eerie mask. Cecile says to her reflection, "I will find you." And that pretty much ends episode 12 and my review. Overall, pretty good episode, very emotional. As it got closer and closer to the end, you really start to realise how much you're going to miss Cisco Ramon and how much of a big part that he was of the show. And this was one of the better episodes of The Flash, and I'm going to miss Carlos Valdez a lot. He was an amazing part of the show and one of the main reasons why I loved watching it so much, and I'm really going to miss him a lot. But I'm hoping we will see him one last time before the show wraps up for good. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 12? Did you enjoy it? How do you feel about Cisco leaving? Do you think there's a possibility we could see him come back for one final hurrah before the show ends? And also, who do you think the person was in the reflection that Cecile was talking to? Do you think we'll learn in the next episode, or do you think it could be just a figment of her imagination? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Flash Season 7 review series, where I am going to be talking about episode 13, which I think is going to be a very good one, and it's certainly going to be a very different kind of show now that Cisco is gone, and we'll have to see what kind of role Chester is going to play. So until next time, take care everybody and stay safe, and thanks for listening, and a special thanks to Carlos Valdez for all of the great memories he has given us on the show, and he will be sorely missed by everyone, including myself.